What happens when Ukraine's air network is brought under fire, when the runways once meant for passengers become the front line of a drone war? By September 2025, Russia delivered its answer, an overwhelming strike on Boryspil, Ukraine's largest international airport and a logistical lifeline for Kyiv. So, what really happens during those days? Check this out. On September 21st, Ukraine was struck by one of the most intense bombardments of the entire conflict. The Telegram channel Uncensored News released information reporting that more than 45 coordinated attacks slammed into its territory, stretching from Kharkov and Chernigov in the north to Odessa and Nikolaev in the south, cutting across Sumy, Poltava, Kremenchuk, Cherkasy, Kyiv, Dnepropetrovsk, and Pavlograd. Even Kyiv itself was not spared. Yet the most telling blows fell on the Boryspil region, home to Ukraine's largest airport and the most vital artery for both civil aviation and military logistics. What unfolded that night was not simply an attack on an airfield, but a carefully orchestrated strike meant to break the backbone of Ukraine's defense infrastructure and send a message to the West that no shield, however modern, is beyond Russia's reach. By dawn, the normally bustling hub of Boryspil had been transformed into a battlefield. Dozens of Russian drones swarmed the airspace over the airport, hammering at Ukrainian defenses with relentless persistence. What caught the eye of analysts, however, was the appearance of a jet-powered unmanned aerial vehicle, faster, deadlier, and harder to intercept than the propeller-driven Geran drones that had already become a nightmare for Kyiv. This new UAV, confirmed by Ukrainian monitoring resources to be a jet-powered Geran 3, tore through the skies above the capital's outskirts, signaling Russia's transition into a new phase of drone warfare. Facilities within the airport zone erupted in flames, warehouses burned, and secondary explosions shook surrounding districts. For residents living near the airfield, the night was marked by constant detonations, a grim reminder that the war had penetrated the very doorstep of Kyiv. Further reports clarified the scope of the operation. The Patriot air defense battery, positioned near Boryspil, one of Ukraine's most prized Western-supplied systems, had been deliberately targeted. This was no coincidence. For Moscow, striking at the Patriot was a strategic necessity. Degrade Ukraine's most capable missile shield, and the path opens for deeper, more destructive raids on infrastructure that sustains the war effort. The symbolism was just as powerful as the military effect, for by attacking the very system touted as untouchable by Washington, Russia underscored a brutal reality: that even the crown jewels of NATO's arsenal are vulnerable when faced with massed multi-vector pressure. This doctrine had been seen before. A report released by Military News Telegram channel by August 28th, the Kyiv itself was battered by a massive combined strike. Explosions echoed across Brovary, Vasilkiv, and Boryspil as Russian missiles and drones converged on the capital. By 3:45, missiles had been launched, and within 40 minutes, nearly 60 drones filled the night sky, with about 40 of them moving directly toward Kyiv. The results were devastating. Multiple fires broke out, a commercial building was set ablaze in the Dnipro district, and structures collapsed in Shevchenkivsky. The scale of that attack had shocked observers at the time, yet in hindsight, it was a rehearsal, a test of saturation strikes that by September had evolved into a polished doctrine. At the core of these operations lay a potent mixture of weapons, each chosen for its role in the layered assault. The Geran 2 drones, cheap and expendable, formed the bulk of the swarms. Their purpose was not elegance, but exhaustion. They forced Ukraine to expend costly interceptor missiles on low-value targets, draining the magazines of Western-supplied systems. Behind them, the Geran 3 jet-powered UAVs pushed forward, their speed and agility making them difficult to detect and track. Where the Geran 2 clogged the radars, the Geran 3 sliced through the chaos, homing in on strategic nodes with deadly precision. At the same time, salvos of cruise and ballistic missiles were launched to strike hardened positions and command centers, ensuring no single defensive sector could recover before another wave arrived. Complementing these drone and missile strikes were precision bombs such as the Fab 500, retrofitted with glide kits to extend their range. Allowing Russian aircraft to release them from safe distances while still striking fortified targets with devastating accuracy. Together, these tools created a layered strike package that was greater than the sum of its parts. The cheap drones swarmed, the advanced UAVs penetrated, the missiles demolished hardened defenses, and the glide bombs crushed whatever was left exposed. The overall effect was systemic exhaustion, a deliberate strategy to bleed Ukraine's air defense network dry, both in material and morale. The military implications of the Boryspil strikes were enormous. At the operational level, the assault aimed squarely at severing Ukraine's logistical lifeline. Boryspil is not merely an airport, it is the gateway through which international aid, military resupply, and critical transport flow into Kyiv. Disrupting its function threatens to isolate the capital, straining both its military logistics and its international support network. At the tactical level, the deliberate targeting of the Patriot battery was a masterstroke. For every interceptor missile Ukraine fired at a Geran drone, another Russian missile or bomb slipped through, ensuring damage on the ground. The more interceptors wasted on low-cost targets, the fewer remained for the high-value threats, an equation Russia has been careful to exploit. At the strategic level, the strikes carried a brutal message. Moscow was demonstrating not only its capacity to hit deep into Ukraine, but also its ability to adapt faster than its opponent. Each new wave showed greater sophistication. Each month brought refinements in timing, coordination, and technology. The introduction of jet-powered drones highlighted this evolution, underscoring that Russia was not static, but dynamically recalibrating its war machine for a long conflict of attrition. The message was aimed at Kyiv, but also at the West. Russia can and will continue to escalate, and Ukraine's shield is neither infinite nor impenetrable. For Ukraine, the toll is measured not only in burned-out warehouses and blackened runways, but also in resources. Patriot missiles cost millions. Gerans cost thousands. The imbalance is glaring, and Russia's strategy of attritional exhaustion ensures that, over time, Ukraine bleeds itself dry even in moments of apparent success. Every night of drone swarms and missile salvos is another night of stockpiles depleted, crews exhausted, and infrastructure strained beyond repair. The lesson of Boryspil is clear. Russia is no longer striking targets. It is dismantling Ukraine's capacity to defend them. From the warehouses ablaze at the airport to the Patriot battery struck on the outskirts of Kyiv for Ukraine, the question now is not whether Boryspil can withstand another attack, but how much longer its defenses can hold against a war machine that shows no sign of running out of ideas or ammunition. That's for today's wrap-up. Thanks for watching.